Hello, welcome to ARC 313, Advanced Delineation with the use of watercolor. I'm your instructor, Santo, and I'll be with you this whole quarter. I'm going to be doing a series of videos. That's how we're going to be teaching online. And the video lessons will be done in an asynchronous manner, in the sense that I'll give you these videos on Tuesday, and then you can learn from them and practice and paint at your leisure anytime over the course of the week. On Thursdays from 9 to 11, I will do synchronous teaching in the sense that I will have an open Zoom link, and if you have any questions, do you have any questions? You can come in and ask me on the Zoom link, or you can email me anytime. So this is going to be a combination of synchronous and asynchronous teaching. This first video is going to be about why watercolor and about materials that you're going to need to buy in this first week. And then we'll start painting in week 2. So first off, why watercolor? Well, watercolor is a great medium for architects and architecture students. It has been the medium of choice before digital rendering and markers and colored pencils came in vogue. It was the principal means for doing renderings, going all the way back to the École des Beaux-Arts. Fine artists didn't really like watercolor so much as their final medium. They would use watercolor as a way to go out into the field and sketch and come up with ideas or remember things, remember the colors of things, and then they go back to their studio or their atelier and paint in oils or other opaque media. But for architects, it's always been great because we use it for sketching, expressing down ideas, giving life to our sketches right away, as well as doing renderings as well. Renderings are a little bit less used in the profession today. Now that digital media has taken root, but it's a great way to, I think, add some warmth and fuzziness to your presentations as well as the more serious digital rendering. So I recommend coming with an arsenal of both analog and digital media, and watercolor is a great way to do that. But if you would want to just use it primarily as a sketching tool, that's also great. A lot of you have traveled or will travel, and so watercolor becomes a great medium for remembering the architecture that you saw on your various travels. But it's also a great way to sketch down your own ideas and paint them so that your professor or your clients can, okay, you have to get out of the way. That's my dog, Giallo. So it means yellow in Italian. So what we're going to do today is talk a little bit about materials that you're going to have to go purchase right away so that you're ready to paint next Tuesday. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to do is get watercolors. And there's a couple different ways to do that. You could buy a series of tubes of watercolors and buy your own palette. Can you see this? And put the tubes in here, let them dry, let them cake, and then after they're dry, then you go in and start using them. That's a good way to go if you're really serious about the medium. It's a more expensive way to go. So what most students do is they get a set. And the cheapest set to get is the Cotman series from Winsor Newton. This is a great little kit. Maximum you'll ever pay for this is like $24. But I've seen it as low as $13 as well. Cotman is the student version of Winsor Newton. So it comes with a little tiny brush that's not very useful, so you'll want to get another brush in addition to that. But this kit will be perfect for what you're doing in this class, and it's the best bang for your buck. It's a British firm, Winsor Newton, and if you talk to a Brit, they'll say Winsor Newton is the best watercolor. If you talk to a Frenchman, they might say that Sennelier is a better brand. Sennelier is the art supply store that was right near the École des Beaux-Arts in Paris, right on the Quai de la Seine. And so the Sennelier was, servicing Renoir and Monet and Van Gogh, and all the people that you know who were painting at the turn of the century and in the 19th century as well. This is a similar kit you can get. It's got the little tiny brush and then a series of paints. Sennelier is a little bit more expensive than Cotman or even the Winsor Newton Professional Series, so beware of that. Someone from Seattle might tell you that Daniel Smith is the best. Daniel Smith is another good little kit made up in Seattle. Someone from San Francisco might tell you that Case for Making is the way to go. Case for Making makes these awesome little kits. You have to buy the kit separately, and then you buy the half pans and slip them in there yourself, which is a nice way to go because then you can pick out which colors you want. With the Winsor Newton set, you're going to just get the colors you get. And if you go this way, I recommend you take out the white and buy a Payne's Gray and slip in the Payne's Gray in its stead. If you talk to a Dutch person, they're going to tell you that Old Holland is the best way to go. And these are really luxurious paints. I really like these a lot. These are some of my favorite. But they are, again, more expensive. This is a nice little kit because it comes with a little cantina as well. So this holds your water, and there's a little tray that comes off, and you pour the water into your tray, and you always have water wherever you are. And then you also have little places to mix paint down here, and then you have all your colors. If you're from Germany, the Germans will say Schminke is the best, so this is a good set too. I really like Schminke as well. And this comes with half pans and full pans. And the Italians will tell you Fabriano is the best. Fabriano is another good way to go with half pans and full pans. And the Japanese will tell you Holbein for sure is the way to go. This is a Holbein set from Japan. It's funny that it's called Holbein because that's a Dutch name, but it's actually a Japanese company. And the nice thing about this one is they actually give you a really good big brush also from Holbein. But again, my personal favorite for cost-benefit ratio is Winsor Newton Cotman series for students. You can also get the professional series, and this is a field kit, which is pretty cool too. This is a higher quality of paint, so you don't necessarily need that for this class, but if you really like the medium and or are already proficient in watercolor, you might consider getting the professional series. This field kit is available in Cotman or professional, but it has your water holder. It's got a little water bottle in here. It's got all your paints and a couple of different trays to work with. So this is a good way to go too. This is the Winsor Newton field kit. You just take the water and push it, put it in here, and you're all set. All of these come with a rinky-dink little brush, which is good for detail. But what you're really going to need to do is buy a bigger brush as well, no matter what kit you go with. Save maybe the Holbein kit. So I recommend going with this company here, Winsor Newton again. This is the University series. These red brushes are synthetic, so they're a little bit cheaper. They're really good on control, but they're not as good on the sort of laissez-faire, approach to watercolor with a lot more loosey-goosiness to it. So if you like loosey-goosey, you might want to go for something that's more of a red sable variety. These are way more expensive, but the quality of the brush is really high. It holds the water really well. It moves it around the page really well. This is good for architects because you can paint very well with these, but it's much more controlled. You won't get much spit, but you won't get much looseness either. The water doesn't hold the water quite the same way. So I recommend maybe getting one of each. I use these, even though I'm professional now, I still use the University series for detail because I like to sometimes have a little bit more control when I'm going in on a fine detail in one of my paintings. But then I use these sable brushes for the vast majority of my painting. You're going to want to get a size about like this. So kind of just remember this size. This is an 8 and this is a 10. But the numbering system changes from company to company. So, you know, this might be an 8 in a different company, and this might be a 6 in a different company. So you want to be at least a 6 to a 12, but most likely an 8 or a 10. And you just want it to be about this size. So memorize that. You'll also need to get some pencils. I like these giant lead holders, which also give you nice big fat pencil lines. I also like these Caran d'Ache lead holders. They feel really good in your hand. They give you a nice sharp point, and then when you need to sharpen it, you just take it in here and sharpen it. So you're never without a sharpener. And then pens. Whatever pens you're comfortable with, but you're going to try out different pens to see how well they work with the medium, because some of them bleed more than others. I like using fountain pens. Lamy makes a really good fountain pen that's not too expensive. You don't get the metal ones. The plastic ones are in the $30 range. Beware though, Lamy from Germany, you have to use their special ink. You can't just use any cartridge or you'll ruin the pen. But any fountain pen will do, or Micron, or I like the Uniballs from Pentel. But you'll just try different pens and see which ones work best for you. Same with pencils. Another way to go on the paints, if you can find them, these are really hard to find, but I found these in Como in Italy, and so whenever I'm in Como I always buy a few more of these. In San Francisco I found a place that near North Beach that would special order them for me, but other than that I've never seen anybody else who carries them. Okay, that's it on paints and brushes. You'll need to have some sort of paper towel, or you can get a fancy one like this. This one is made by Sennelier. This is just basically a towel or rag that you use all the time. You'll see when we get into the painting. And then you need some papers. And the paper that I recommend is that you get one sketchbook and one pad to work from. So for sketchbook, you know, Moleskine makes a really good watercolor sketchbook. It's the pink label through Moleskine. It's pretty reasonably priced, and they have good paper, and it's a good quality sketchbook. You want to be somewhere around this size. There's other companies that make them, like the Handbook from Kansas City. Some of them have this. Let's see. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's called Handbook from Kansas City, Missouri, and they have this kind of cloth binding. This is not a really good size for this class. You probably want to get the size that's like the Moleskine. Holbein from Japan makes a really good multimedia sketchbook that holds the paint really well too. But whatever you can find, but get something about this size. And then you're going to need to get a pad of paper. If you've got a lot of money to spend on this class, go for the Aquarelle Arche. This paper has been around as long as America. This has been along. When Columbus first discovered the Caribbean, they started making paper, 1492. So this stuff has been around for a long time. It comes in a block, so you paint, and then when you're done painting, you have to stick your knife in here and pull off that sheet. So your painting remains, your paper remains taut through the entirety of the painting. These other sketchbooks are pads are a lot cheaper, and I recommend getting Strathmore. Strathmore is a really good low-end, it's a good low-end pad, and the idea behind this is you get about 15 to 20 sheets, which will be good for doing a lot of the practicing on this course. So if you have some money to spend, get this for doing final renderings, and get this for doing all the practicing. Regardless though, you'll always need the sketchbook. Strathmore, there's Fabriano. Canson is the same company as Aquarelle Arche, but what they call, this is for paper for debutantes or beginners, amateurs. So this would be a good way to go if you want to get the same company but in a slightly lower quality. Now there's different types of paper. I recommend getting the cold press and at 300 grams per square meter, or about 140 pounds per square inch. 9 by 12 is a good size. In metric, that would be like 23 by 30, somewhere in that range. Centimeters, 23 by 30 centimeters, or 9 by 12 inches. And that is about all the material you're gonna need, aside from you're gonna need a little water cup. You can just take a jar of pasta sauce after you've finished using the pasta sauce and washed it out. That becomes a great little jar for dipping your brushes. But yeah, so you need paper, brushes, pens, pencils, and a watercolor set, as well as a sketchbook and some paper. In our next video, we're going to talk about the syllabus. See you in a bit.